I don't view myself as an interviewer. I view myself as a conversationalist. Back in 2011, I got to talk to EC Glass Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Bo Henson. Coach Henson talked about his past at EC Glass and more. Bo Henson on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Bo knows EC Glass. Bo Henson, one of the first 20 inductees into the inaugural EC Glass Athletics Hall of Fame, spoke with me on Saturday at the meet and greet at the gymnasium at EC Glass High School before things got kicked off at Oakwood Country Club that night for the Hall of Fame dinner. And I'll tell you, growing up and watching the football Friday shows on ABC 13, Friday Football Extra on Channel 7, and also First and 10 on WSLS, you always wanted them to interview EC Glass because Bo Henson was comical, Bo Henson was informative, and Bo Henson would tell you the truth. He told me a lot of truths, and we reminisced about the good old days and talked about some ways that high school athletics has changed. Truly an honor to meet the legendary Bo Henson and to interview him. He's a Hall of Famer. EC Glass High School Hall of Fame. Bo Henson on the Sports Buffet podcast. You can't mention EC Glass football, at least of somebody in my generation, late 90s, and not talk about Bo Henson, legendary football coach at EC Glass. 20 guys and girls going into this Hall of Fame, coach. What does it mean to you?
Well, it's so important as far as the inaugural class. It's class, and you're going in with a great number. Some great people, and what delights me is I'm going in with two guys that I coached, Mickey Fitzgerald and Reuben Brown. So that adds to a little bit more as far as being special day.
Talk about those guys and what made them special football players.
Well, both of them were very hard-working kids, and they were blessed with talent, let's face it. Mm-hmm. Both of them had quick feet. They were very strong, upper body, and just determined to overcome some adversities which, they were faced with and become All-American football players and just great people afterwards as well.
When you have guys like that make it to All-American and make it to professional, and another name that sticks out is Reuben's brother, Cornell Brown, what does that mean to you as a coach when you can be sitting in your living room on Sunday and it's like, wow, he played for me on a Friday?
Hey, you don't know how much it means. Plus, people call and saying, I went to college and played football at George Washington University. I've got guys from Pennsylvania calling and New England states. Bo, watched your kid play today. He's pretty daggone good. And, I'm saying, well, yes, he's a good person. And no, it means a lot. And, it's memories. It's something you can cherish for the rest of your life.
What are some special memories that stick out to you, maybe rivalries and things like that in your day? There's a lot of them I know we could talk about.
I think the number one rivalry outside of Heritage, and, that was tremendous, but the rivalry we had with Danville, with Al Pugh, with Eddie Martin, it was Danville and Pulaski. All of them were rivals. Everybody wanted to beat Glass. So you better be ready, and you put your kids on the field on Friday night, and they better be ready to play football because everybody was gunning for you. But to me, just going into Danville or Danville coming here, that was one of the biggest rivalries we've ever played in.
I'm going to come back to GW in a minute, but I want to talk real quick about Heritage. Obviously, back in the day, the little brown jug goes missing. Anyway, but it seems like nowadays, maybe just because everybody else talks about other games so much, that rivalry may have lost its luster a little bit. But back in the day, it was a hot rivalry. Talk about it.
It was unbelievable. And the bad thing about it, for those first few years, we were playing them twice. And regardless of what anybody says, if you lose that first game, it's an uphill battle. Now, I've lost the first game. I lost to Heritage 2 times, beat them 19. So I didn't have to fight that adversity far. But no, the crowd, the cross-town rivalry, and just, trying to control your kids during that particular week was the most important thing.
How much pressure was it being the head coach at EC Glass?
Well, when you take over a program at EC Glass, with the tradition and coaches like Johnny Palmer and Coach Bradford, hey, you got a big set of shoes to fill, and it was pressure. And with the news media coverage, and you knew you had to win to keep the job.
And it seems to me a lot of days now at times, people always talk about pressure of coaching EC Glass, and I hear a lot of people bring up your name of let's get it back to what Bo had it. Talk about that as a compliment.
Well, the record stands for itself, but I think what what really stands out is we were able to bring parents together. We were able to bring the school together, the kids together, regardless of, black, white, Oriental. I had Mexicans on the team. I had Orientals, and we were all just one big family. And this was the ultimate goal that I'd set for myself and set for the coaches to say, hey, we got to pull everybody together, regardless of where they come from, what the status quo in life is. They're here, they're ours, and let's get the most out of them.
What were your personal feelings when EC Glass went down to AA in the Seminole District?
You don't want to repeat it.
I mean, how different was it, though, to get used to a different, because then you're playing the JFs, the Brookvilles, and things of that sort. I know JF, I remember because I went to JF, played you guys when you were AAA. Talk about, some of, kind of maybe instituting some local rivalries.
Well, I love Bobby Christmas. Do you know Bobby?
Yep.
And there isn't a better coach than Bobby. And we scrimmaged. I never played Bobby in a game, but our scrimmages were farce. And the athletes you had with Poindexter and that crew, it was a battle royal. But talking about the Seminole now, I still feel like you got to go back to Danville.
Right.
You got to go back to Patrick Henry. Of course, Pulaski has dropped down, but what a rivalry that was, with Joel Hicks.
Right.
That was tough.
I was going to ask you, too, I don't mean this to be disrespectful when we say old guard, like you guys, Joel Hicks, Eddie Martin, Willis White, and new guard. What differences do you see just in terms of observation and what you read and what you see on TV?
Oh, Lord. That's a pretty good question. Mike Smith and I are still good friends. And like Mike says, coming down to the coaches clinic, he said, these young coaches just aren't dedicated. They don't want to work 14 hours a day. And I feel like that, just like with EC Glass, there's only 2 assistant coaches right now in-house. And I can imagine how hard that is, not being able to run you coach down the hall or send a message saying, get in touch with me in the same building. We got to iron something out before 2:30 or 3 o'clock.
Right.
Now you don't see your coaches till 2:30 or 3 o'clock. I think that's one of the big drawbacks right now.
How would you describe your coaching style? Disciplinarian or laid back?
Well, we were a disciplined team, but I was sort of laid back. Kids want to call me Coach Bo. They want to have a good time, and hey, that was it. But as long as you perform, as long as you're a gentleman and a good citizen, then we're going to get along. But now if you screw up, then we're going to come down on you.
You talked about GW earlier, and I'll close with this. Eddie Martin, of course, no longer with us. Talk about Eddie as a person and, maybe a story or two that you have from the rivalry and from Eddie.
Oh, God, there'd be a lot of stories with Eddie. Eddie, he was so intense. And God knows he didn't like to lose, but I was sort of a clown before the game. I would grab him in the butt. He'd say, you didn't touch me again. Joel Hicks, at Pulaski one night, Joel said, where you been? I said, I've been over, I signed an autograph. Do you think about the ball game? I said, yeah, come 8 o'clock, I'm going to think about the ball game. But right now, I'm having a good time. And so they'd steam off, but no, just, being around them at coaches' clinics and seeing what they do, and then, once game, one time Eddie wouldn't shake my hand, claiming I run the score up on him, which I didn't, but he was okay about 2 or 3 weeks later.
Do people get too sensitive about the running up the score thing, you think?
Yes, and I never did, because I always liked to play every kid we had. That brought them back.
Right.
But if you got a team down 30 points going in the fourth quarter, hey, take your horses out, or else you're going to get a horse hurt.
Right. Well, Coach, certainly congratulations on a prestigious honor, and hopefully we'll talk to you again down the road.
Thank you so much, and it is an honor.